Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So in the normal circumstances, I would be doing this video live. I don't need to say that on every video. I prefer doing live videos. So this is a bit of a change and a difference, and I gotta be honest, I'm fucking aggravated by it. Nevertheless, let's have some fun. So Michael Wolff, the guy who wrote Fire and Fury, Michael Wolff made some pretty over-the-top claims with regards to Donald Trump. Now, I'm not talking about the entirety of the book. I'm talking about something very specific, where he alluded to Nikki Haley and Donald Trump having an affair. Now, he's been called to account for that, particularly on Morning Joe, most famously on Morning Joe, where Mika Brzezinski took him to task on that. Let's take a look at that video, because this video is fucking hilarious. Now, the issue with this is Michael Wolff has been found in a lot of these cases to not necessarily be telling the truth, which is the problem. Personally, I get the impression that the person in that book is Donald Trump, meaning the person, at least in the books, the parts of the book that I've read, that does look like the Donald Trump that I interact with, or that I see interacting with the rest of the world, unfortunately. But fact is, there are elements of the book that are just wrong. There are things in the book that aren't necessarily true. The View episode where he was called to account was embarrassing, where she goes line by line by line of one person after the next that said that what Michael Wolff was saying wasn't true. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that everything in the book is false. Certainly not. And many of the quotes that Steve Bannon made are absolutely true, and the impression that he may give may absolutely be true. But fact is, there are details of the book that are wrong, and so you have to take this in the context to which it presents itself. This one specific case, though, I got to be honest, is somewhat gross. Now, I don't necessarily like Donald Trump, but at the same token, the last thing I want him doing is making these kind of allegations that Donald Trump is having sex with Nikki Haley. I don't particularly like Nikki Haley. I definitely don't like Donald Trump. I don't particularly like either one of them, but I also don't like this idea of them acting as if the woman is having sex with Trump and making this kind of insinuation that she's doing so to get ahead, or potentially to get ahead. This is him being called to account on Morning Joe, talking to Mika. And I have a larger point with this, because he has to deal with this situation again where somebody is asking him about this, and I'm going to show you what he did the second time. But let's look at the first time. This is author of Fire and Fury, Michael Wolff, being called to account on a charge that he made when he was sitting on Bill Maher, saying that there's a relationship, or that there was an affair between Donald Trump and Nikki Haley, and that they were concerned about the affair, meaning the people who were around Trump. Let's take a look at him.
Susan.
You made some news this weekend talking about things you didn't know firsthand, saying you believed it was true, but you had no proof that the president had an affair with someone in his administration.
Yes.
It's pretty much what you said. Then you kind of led and indicated if you follow the breadcrumbs, you can figure out who it was. After a lot of rumors came out, it was speculation that you meant Nikki Haley, and you said she's embraced it. Don't you find that absolutely irresponsible at this point in time where we are as a society, when you're talking about a woman who's a high-profile woman in the Trump administration,
let me
to go after her without any evidence, without any facts? It just seems that it is so irresponsible.
Well, first thing, I didn't go after her, and secondly, what I meant was I found it puzzling that she would deny something she was not accused of.
Wait a minute. Can I just step in here? Let's put this next question the entire credibility of your book, which was written really quickly.
Excuse me.
Your book.
Yes.
Let's put it on this next question. Do you regret inferring anything about Nikki Haley?
I didn't infer anything about Nikki Haley. What I inferred was that the president is that many of the people around the president believe he is still involved with various women.
No, but you said she spent a lot of time in private time with.
I got it.
I mean, that's exactly what people report. And specifically, that was about her bid to become the Secretary of State. So everywhere in the White House, they were suddenly in a
Just to be clear here, he's making this worse. This is like quicksand. Because beforehand it was Donald Trump had an affair with Nikki Haley, or he was insinuating that Trump had an affair with Nikki Haley. Now, they could be that insinuation for all sorts of reasons. Maybe Nikki Haley has a thing for balding, gross men. Who the fuck knows? But now he's taking this to, she wants to get ahead. And they were concerned that she wanted to get ahead. Look at the impression, or look at the face of this woman sitting behind, what's her name? Don't look at her, she's blinking, but she is aghast by what he is saying. He's like, oh! Because, again, before it was, you've insinuated that this woman had sex with Donald Trump. That was your insinuation. Here, he followed this up as he, you know, is sinking in quicksand. He's like man reaching for a fucking lifeline. That I wasn't making an insinuation. I was saying what people were saying around her, and it was in context of her trying to get ahead. And she's like, she's shocked by that statement because you just said that she's fucking in order to get up in her position. Yeah, this looks bad. Hashtag me too, asshole. Let's keep going.
In quite a panic that this was actually happening,
Michael,
which is why they pushed Pompeo out.
Has embraced it. I'm going to go as far as to say that you might be having a fun time playing a little game, dancing around this, but you're slurring a woman. It's disgraceful. It's
Mika, again, she has been accused of nothing. She has decided to deny what she has not been accused of. Right. Certainly, I didn't accuse her of this.
But wait, are you suggesting that? Are you suggesting the language is not ambiguous in any way in the things that you've said and the way you've stated it?
Are you kidding? You're on the set of Morning Joe. We don't BS here.
Well, read me the language.
Are you kidding me? I'm not reading you anything.
We could play the Bill Maher.
If you don't get it, if you don't get what we're talking about, I'm sorry. This is awkward. You're here on the set with us, but we're done. Michael Wolff, thank you.
I'm sorry. This is awkward. This is awkward. Awkward. This is awkward. You're on the set of Morning Joe, and we don't BS here, buddy. We don't BS until we're BSing. So yeah, that was awkward. I mean, you're on live TV and Morning Joe. You have some people who wake up in the morning, look at Morning Joe, and look for their direction on what's taking place in Washington. Seriously, there are people who do that. And Mika Brzezinski is putting a bastard. Me too, asshole. Me too. Just carving the shit in his chest. So you can understand that you might be a little gun shy. If somebody asks you that question again, you may be a bit gun shy to answer that question, seeing as how he was essentially filleted on the set of Morning Joe. Let's take a look at, he's asked this question again. Now, this is on RT. Now, I found this on RT as I was just trucking through my sites, and it was, look, there's a label that puts on our RT videos, which is insane, that essentially said this is funded by the Russian government. Michael Wolff is not funded by the Russian government. Michael Wolff is not funded by the Russian government. Let's take a look at his response to this. What did he learn from the prior clip? Meaning getting eviscerated by Mika Brzezinski and the other hosts on Morning Joe, who were aghast at his denials of this. What does that inspire you to do when you're facing this question the second time? How do you address this particular issue? You've just said that a woman potentially was having sex with the president, and they thought that this was taking place because she wanted to get ahead. Let's take a look.
You said during a TV interview just last month that you are absolutely sure that Donald Trump is currently having an affair. Just last week, however, you backflipped and said, I quote, I do not know if the president is having an affair. Do you owe the president and the First Lady an apology, Mr. Wolff?
I can't hear you.
Do you owe the president and the First Lady an apology, Mr. Wolff?
I can't hear you.
Just
Hello?
last month, you said you were absolutely sure that the president was having an affair.
I'm not getting anything.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm not getting anything. I'm not getting anything. Wolff, Did you say that woman was having an affair? I can't do the Australian accent. I'm sorry. I'm fucking it up royally. I can't hear anything. I can't hear anything. You're speaking English to me, buddy. You're speaking the Queen's English. I can only speak American English. So, you know, there's that. That's amazing. Like, I would imagine he's a little gun shy after getting asked that question the first time around. And this Australian was about to take him to task over, you said a woman had sex with that gross human being that they call the President of the United States. And you jumped the shark on that accusation to they thought she was doing it to get a better position. Do you see anything wrong with that when you said that? Yeah, I can't hear you, man. I'm sorry. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you at all. We'll be back from the break. Okay. Apparently you can hear me. Yeah, that's amazing. That's fucking amazing. I love it. I love it. Now, look, I don't have any necessarily bad feelings about Michael Wolff. I started to get bad feelings about him after the fact. I don't like Donald Trump. Everybody knows I don't like Donald Trump. So just that. By the same token, so I am biased in the sense that just like anybody else who you don't like somebody, you can read something, you'd be like, that sounds more likely or not to be true. Now, there's some stuff at the point, though, where you're confronted with this thing of, well, this guy has kind of made shit up on this occasion, this occasion, this occasion, this occasion. At which point now you're like, okay, what do I know of this book that is true or that's false? I know the band and stuff is true. I know the image that Trump portrays, just himself, not the images somebody else is conjuring. Who he is gets across some of these elements of, that sounds like that could be true. What I disliked about him, and the thing that turned my feelings towards him, from this guy's hawking a book to this guy's just doing the thing of the President of the United States to that type of stuff. What changed it from somewhat innocuous to me somewhat disliking Wolff, when he was on The View and they were asking him, how did you get this much access? How did you get this much access? How did you ingratiate yourself to Donald Trump in this way? Come to find out, he writes a bunch of positive, glowing reviews on Trump or Trump's associates or Trump's campaign. And that gives Trump or his campaign enough to say, hey, this guy has written nice stuff about us. And in an area where he had few friends, because most people greatly disliked him, bring him on in. The moment that he got in, he stuck a knife in him. He stuck a knife in him. Now, again, the image that's portrayed in the book, I have to be honest, I think more likely than not is probably true, at least from an overall standpoint. But again, there are elements in this book that are demonstratively false. So, I don't know why you're going to do a book and fuck up the book in this way, particularly when you're going to do a hit piece. You probably should have your information on point. But in this case, it's like you wrote a book going after Trump. Fair enough. Trump is, you know, I don't necessarily like him, so fair enough. But he gives people ammunition to pick holes or poke holes in your book at the point where you find people in or stuff that's not just true, that's overtly not true, where you can go down the list and say, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true, that's not true. And then the way you go about those, some of this stuff was supposed to be off the record. He makes the argument that once the person died, it was fair game. He may or may not be true on that point. But either way, it feels somewhat icky in the way that this took place. That's all. That's what soured my feeling. It's just like, I'm going to write really positive, glowing stuff about you, and then I'm going to turn around and put a knife in you. It just rubs me the wrong way. That's all. But nevertheless, Michael Wolff getting his ass handed to him because he, for the most part, has said that Nikki Haley was having sex with Donald Trump. And then looking utterly ridiculous by faking a hearing problem when he didn't want to answer the question again. I suppose that Mika put the fear of God in him. So I'm going to end it on that. That is fucking hilarious. And I'll leave it at that. Alright guys, if you enjoy the content, feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, you can always support the Patreon or PayPal at this point. Thanks guys. Yeah, this is fucking awesome.